Welcome back, everybody, for the PCS1 APAC. We're heading into match 2 very, very quickly, as you can see already, straight into game number 2 of Erangel Jordan. Of course, Q confirmed taking out match number 1 in style. And look, 19 games still to go, of course. Don't want to put too much of an emphasis, I guess, on just one match, but it's always good to get off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can say that about what Q confirmed did in game number 1 of the Charity Showdown, and they didn't end up picking up the overall victory there. So, look, it's one thing to start well, but it's another thing to be able to consistently do it over 20 games. I guess the fact that Q Confirm was one of the top contenders in APAC Charity Showdown, and they've already started off well here, does lend you to believe that they're probably going to have a good time in Series 1 as well. But you can't draw too many conclusions out of just one game. I think we still have to wait and see how things go.
Yep, 18 games, of course, in total. 2 more games of Erangel, including this one, and then we will then close off the last 2 games of the night with Miramar as well. 18 points, hefty margin for now, but Q confirmed, you know, Jordan, we saw them actually, they were a team that started very well in Charity Showdown, if you recall. Like, they got off to a flyer, but then as the tournament did proceed, things just started to slow down for them a little bit. Other teams like Division X started to catch up to them as we go to Victim Rise hot dropping, or either way, this is going to be a very early collision between them and Golden Cat, is it?
Yeah, it's Golden Cat. They definitely would know that Genfos is, they probably don't know how many players are coming to help him out, if anyone, but I'm not sure what the idea behind this was from Genfos, because it hasn't gone well at all. The Mac 10's getting pulled out, and Tinoy's going to find himself an early kill in this game. So nice bit of extra points on the board there for Golden Cat. An interesting choice from Victim Rise, because you can see on the map a couple of their players over towards Rozok, one over towards, well, Kamal's is over just a bit more out to the east of those guys. So very, very strange stuff going on there from Victim Rise. Maybe they weren't expecting Golden Cat to go into that position. Either way, live and learn.
Learn. Over to Star, good old Astra. I mean, you did say it does look like Star. I can kind of see it now.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pick things up, though. I mean, look, 4 points is okay, but realistically speaking, when you're in a 20-game tournament, you are going to want to average closer to like maybe the 8-point mark each game to give yourself the best chance of taking out first place. But you can afford to have a couple of games where you do slip and you do get, 4 or 5 points. That's not too bad. You definitely don't want to have too many games where you're getting 1 or 0 points, for instance. Although it is nice to see that no team is on 0 points after game 1, which typically sometimes does happen.
Yep, quite a few teams on 1 point, though. Although looking at the teams that are down there on 1 point, they're probably not the teams that we would have expected to be sort of leading from the front. Although, when you were talking about Bahamut Gaming from the Philippines, they might have been a team that we thought we might see something from, just more so based on the performance of Archangel Predator in Charity Showdown. So they obviously didn't start off too well. Even looking just above that, when you see Day Trade on 3, I mean, Day Trade wasn't a huge factor in the Charity Showdown either, nor was Astra. So I think the biggest sort of surprise is Buriram, who were certainly a contender towards the top end of things, probably not starting off the day here in PCS APAC number 1 the way that they would have wanted to.
Buriram, though, I mean, they are a team that does play relatively aggressive at times, and it can backfire, depending on the game, of course. But even them, 4 points is not that bad, really. They can afford to have games like that. You know that they are a team that can rack up points. They're a team you would put in the bracket of being able to go and get like a 10 to 15 kill win. And because they're capable of that, it means that they can have some lesser performances. We do have a relatively good circle, right? If you aren't aware, PCS_map on Twitch as well, to keep an eye on the map feed, which will obviously show the map. You guessed it.
Wow.
Over the top of Rozhok, Yaznaya, pretty decent circle, nothing too crazy right now. But as we progress, Jordan, that Rozhok River can play a factor.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's at the moment no one really over to the northern side of that. And I think that's fair enough. Most teams are probably going to be hedging their bets down to the south. But Xenox, if you were obviously paying much attention to the way the circles were shifting during Charity Showdown, and even based on what we saw in Game 1, it seems like we are really seeing a lot more hard shifts as opposed to just sort of shifts in towards the center of the circle and more of the kind of expected shift, or at least what was the expected shift. Now it almost to me feels like the hard shifts are the expected shifts. So if you're a team that maybe isn't feeling too confident, maybe you can just hedge your bets towards the north and hope for a hard shift, because chances are you're going to get a hard shift here or there. If it goes south, you're probably pretty cooked. But if it goes north, maybe you get lucky. And for teams that aren't necessarily competing to the top end of things, maybe that's something that they can look at doing. I'm interested to see, though, where these circles do end up going, because it really does seem like hard shifts galore. And I don't know whether that's a storyline that's going to continue across the evening or if it was just sort of a one-game wonder.
I mean, it does favor, though, slightly more south for this particular circle. So crossing the river is probably not ideal. But as you say, it can go north. It can be the unexpected shift. And then, therefore, if you sort of play to the unexpected shift, then I guess in a way it's almost expected, right? So then is it really an unexpected shift?
Yep. A good question.
I think the smart thing to do, though, is if you bring up the map, well, obviously we can't bring up the map, but you guys at home can have a look at the map on PCS_map. MSC out to the very far left and Maogi Esports at Yasnaya. You probably want to be in those two locations ideally, because you can realistically, without too much fanfare, get north and south really easily. And then at the worst case scenario, if it does go central, you can then collapse in, come in relatively late, but you can find kills. You can rotate in, find a few kills, you can breach, you can do a whole bunch of different things. So it gives them the opportunity to go north or south without, say, having to cross one of those Roshok bridges, those little small bridges, which can be quite deadly. They're not the safest things to cross. If it does go north, you're going to have 3, 4, 5 maybe teams trying to cross those little bridges.
I mean, on the topic of the Roshok bridges, I think they're okay if you're like maybe the first or second team across, but it's when you're trying to get across those bridges late where you sort of tend to run into problems. So for a team like Astra right now, who are sort of sitting a little bit further away from Roshok, even though that's one of their primary drop locations, they might want to start thinking about what they're going to be doing as far as the rotation is concerned if they have to go up towards the northern side. VTR, who are at the moment in Roshok, are probably sitting pretty happy at the moment. Center circle, if it goes south, they're fine. They don't have to move. If it goes north, then they're probably also okay, because they'll be one of the first teams that go across those bridges. Q Confirm, who's on our screen right now, is hanging around in Pachinki, and they are a team that's definitely going to get burned if this circle shifts up to the north.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of those teams. There's quite a few of them, though. I mean, you don't just look at just Q Confirm, Bureau Ram, even Cerberus. Quite a lot of these good teams, DIC, Day Trade, the teams down south are going to, as you say, get burned the most if it does go north. Of course, then you can also have the opposite effect. If it goes south, then those teams that are north are going to find it difficult. Astra over towards Watertown, just outside, pushing in towards Eagle Sentinel Shooter. Man with a nice angle, though, should be able to spot Extreme Linksy. Nico's starting to push in, so he's able to get that vision, sort of rings the alarm for the rest of the team and gives them that warning that, hey, there's a team lurking around Watertown. Not a bad spot to be, by the way, for these two teams because of the bridge just very north, or very, very shortly north of Watertown. So if it does go north in a minute and 20 seconds or so time, Jordan, they can cross. But the fact that there's two teams here does make it a bit more difficult now for Astra. May elect to sort of back out, change position if they want to.
Yeah, and you got MSC as well. I think they're up in the sugar cubes just above the river as well, which does have a relatively decent angle down onto that bridge should these teams have to cross. So it's not ideal, I don't think, for Sentinel Shooter or for Astra at the moment, but as long as they can keep 4 players alive before the next circle shifts, I'll probably be happy to try and deal with it as it comes, kind of figure out what happens, when they get that information, as opposed to thinking too far in the future. For now, it's a case of wait and see. It's only 40 seconds for the next zone. Obviously, they're not going to be doing anything until they see the next zone, so why worry about it if it's potentially not going to happen?
You say that about a lot of things, though.
Yeah.
If it comes south, you have to think, what happens here, right? Do they continue to stay around Watertown? Of course, then Atletico have got a bit of advantage having the outside of it. Divine just spots Yadi going through. Turtle finds the knockdown. And Buriram not off to the greatest of starts here for PCS1. They're going to lose one player, although Turtle trying to get back into his compound does get knocked by Noordra. There's that circle coming very, very shortly, Jordan. 3 seconds time now. And Buriram lose 1, 3 still up, and we are going to be going north. And while expect the unexpected seems to be the theme of day one of APAC.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. It's just hard shifts galore. Continuing with that trend that we saw in Charity Showdown, Carnage, one of the team that's kind of hedged their bets right up to the northern side of the map, and they are sitting in the center of the circle right now. Buriram, however, a team that we did mention a little bit earlier on in the piece, were hanging around towards Pajinki down on the southern side of the map. They're on a massive rotate. Now you see Fury on a massive rotate. They're going to run into a couple of teams. You can see Divine starting to come in through Yasnaya Polyana as well. And so there are going to be, I think, some engagements coming from this one, Xenox. It's Art God who's going to knock Yoshi Minburi down from MSC, the MVP from Thailand. And that's not a player that you want to be losing early on in the piece.
No, it's not. You're losing your MVP, but really just losing anyone at this point. It's not even the 10-minute mark yet. I mean, it is in a couple of seconds' time, but 4 deaths so far. MSC lose 1. You know, we had obviously Q Confirmed lose 1 as well. Buriram lose 1. Like, these big teams losing players early on here in match 2 might just give a bit of hope for some of the lesser teams who really do feel like they're going to have to get off to a good start. Standings updated on the fly to the left hand of screen, so you can now see a couple of teams getting off that 1 point. There's only 3 teams that now remain on 1 point, a couple getting off the 4. So a couple of teams already starting to make use of this very northern shift for phase 2. Well, I would say this circle does now, Jordan Nose takes out Roshok River. I mean, look, it could theoretically go south again for phase 3. Unlikely, though. So that does sort of simplify potentially how this game's going to play out.
I mean, you didn't get to watch the last game, and honestly, every single one of those shifts was a hard shift, and it was never where you expected it to go. For phase 4, obviously expecting it to go away from the water, but for phase 3, I don't think we can really hedge our bets anywhere at this point. Golden Cat, certainly hoping for a bit more of a southern shift to come from phase 3, because they're sitting a little bit closer down towards that river than most teams. That's set up on the high ground here. They should have a fairly safe rotation wherever they need to. Linksy will hop out and grab himself a buggy. Bit of extra mobility available now for Astra, who are just coming in from South Georgia Pole, going across the river. Cerberus Esports as well, off from Everest, one of the remaining teams that is inside of the blue. And they'll be taking a long rotation. This looks like they're going to go straight through Georgia Pole up to North Georgia Pole, along the bridge, which should be a safe rotation for the most part, but it really depends on where they end up wanting to come in, because they may end up running into Astra, who have set themselves up on the far western side of the map.
I'm thinking maybe Severny. When I look at the map and I look at where Cerberus are, I'm thinking Severny's potentially the target place, especially if it goes north again. If it goes north again, Severny becomes a hotspot that teams can sort of make their way over to, play safe if they're feeling like they're not in a good position. You got some teams that are still going to be coming in around that Roshok River. As you mentioned, a couple of teams down south that are probably not in the best of positions. So you sense you're going to want to move away from the river there. Carnage south of Severny. This may end up being a good position for them if it does go north again. 5 seconds time. And there's one of the codes on your screen for the Pick'em challenges. Don't forget to try and snatch that one up. And we go for another relative hard shift. This one, though, out to the east, Jordan. Over to that Yasnaya Pond. Divine, as you can see on your screens, very well placed.
Yeah, and this is going to give you a bit of a better idea as to where the next circle shift is going. There's still some water involved, so Divine certainly are in one of the more premium positions, having locked down a compound and having to deal with a few of the teams that'll be heading in their direction. Top 1 Seva will deal with Nordra from Buriram, and I dare say he's going to be getting finished off as well. There's no one from Buriram anywhere near him at the moment.
Buriram going to be down to just 2 players remaining here in match 2. Start for Mayogi Esports. And now move up into the top 7 with that, jumping over 365. So I got Meow and Konaxi remaining for Buriram United. And I said, you know, potentially a team that you would look at as one of the favorites. There's a few. There's certainly no clear-cut favorite, I would say, coming into APAC, but you've got 4 or 5 that could join that pack, and Buriram's one of them, and they're off to a slow start. DRC Gaming, 74R1 takes a few shots as they literally send it into the center of the zone here for phase number 3. I suspect it's the smart play, Jordan, considering that Yasnaya Pond, it's not going to go south. It's either going to go north or relatively central. So DIC over towards this shack, center of phase 3, should very well be in a good position for phase 4. Good future thinking for them. So, Waiki Kamukau. 1 kill so far for Fury Australia. They have got a decent position inside of this circle at the moment for the Oceanic team. Finished 10th place in the Charity Showdown up north, and there's not too many teams up north. Extreme and the rest of Astra around there as well, taking pot shots over towards Bahumat Gaming's Art God. Now QC on the move as well. 30 seconds until phase number 4, the ever important phase number 4 as well. Push on in. Gonna get another, I guess, unexpected hard shift, which are now becoming the expected hard shifts. Cerberus out to the west, taking an absolute beating as they push in. Q confirmed, able to pick up a couple of kills in that kill feed. Bryn even getting on the board for Carnage. We do get another hard shift, extremely hard shift out to the west, right on top of Carnage. Good start there for the Oceanic team. Cerberus continue to move just south of them, potentially moving on to B2. They can really capitalize on this as they start to just turn things around. Carnage. Oh boy, they pick up the kill. Cerberus is just down to 1. Subang. But he does, with the barrel, at least get the man in front of him, but they do go out in last place. Bryn is knocked.
Well, speaking of Carnage, that really was quite a large degree of Carnage. Monty and Bryn at least still able to lock things down at the moment for Carnage. B2 probably not going to survive this one, nor will Bryn. That's a great shot from Jay as a headshot as he tries to get across in the Dacia to res his teammates. It's all onto Monty. B2 was the one that was bleeding quickly. Rain surviving for a little bit longer, I dare say, but I'm not sure that Monty's going to last that long, quite frankly. Q Confirmer on a tear at the moment. Shots coming in from Jowman as he tries to deal with Monty. The rotation is risky indeed. He's low on HP and eventually is finished off. This is from, who was it in the end? Jowman again. Subang is going to pick himself up a couple of points there for Carnage as well.
Well, look, you did say expect the unexpected, Jordan. I mean, I've got to say, you did pre-warn me coming in here for match 2. Phase 4 continues the trend. So that's like how many hard shifts in a row now, if you conclude last game?
Like literally every single shift.
Right.
So I don't know how many shifts we've had, but it's pretty much every single one.
Fnatic are in the blue for Day Trade Gaming, able to take out Man. As the rest, 365 now in their way. Nice knockdown from Flash onto Vandal. Day Trade Gaming are one of the disappointing Thailand teams in the Charity Showdown compared to their brethren. Eagle Sentinel Shooter is holding on for dear life for their remaining 2 players. And there goes Bahumat's Art God, who was holding up North by himself for quite a while. He did at least get a knockdown onto top 1 Sever, but that was all it would be. Day Trade, though, probably not in a position where they can stick around and try and finish off the remaining members of Eagle Sentinel Shooter. Divine,
God, meow.
I'm going to move from Buri Ram.
Yeah, he's hanging around. God, meow, just keeping an eye on what's going on there, but going back out into the blue to grab himself his vehicle. Kamal's had no idea that Day Trade Gaming was heading up right behind him, and so that'll be Flash to get himself a quite free kill. Kamal's hadn't quite built up the speed in that UAZ to get things rolling. Simoy here for Victim Rise, keeping an eye on things for the moment. I guess he's relatively unscathed, and he is still sitting inside of the circle, so he probably doesn't need to be doing too much at the moment, apart from, at least hopefully, keeping his head down.
Head down, try and stay out of trouble. Keep yourself out of trouble if you can. It's been a very different, at least for me, from the first, 15 minutes or so. It has been hectic, of course, when you had that Phase 2 circle over the Rozhok River. So many teams rotating this game. Phase 4, you can just see it really from the amount of vehicles that have been moving. There's not a lot of compounds to take as well. Not a lot of safety. You can see it on the map there as we probably expect another shift at some point. North, south, east, west. It's probably going to go one way here. Oh, that's west enough, really. That's probably one of the less hard shifts that we've had so far tonight. And, well, for the team in first place, Jordan Q confirmed they're probably the best placed team right now here for match 2 to capitalize on their match 1 performance.
Yeah, certainly seems like it. And we're going to have to see pretty much everyone else trying to make their way into center circle. Gearbox has got themselves a decent position, but aside from that, Fury have to come down from the north, so too does Star. Day Trade Gaming down in the south, and they're kind of getting gate camped by Golden Cat. Venotica very low on HP, does manage to get that first aid kit off as we'll keep an eye on DIC, who get absolutely munched by Noctan. 74L1 and CVD going down. Anquan and JJ Leo trying to make the exact same rotation. And I can't imagine this is going to end particularly happily for them. JJ Leo seems to have gotten across at least to a defilade, but he does have Gearbox right in front of him. I don't know that he's aware of it.
Gearbox only 1 point up to this point. JJ Leo gets the initial knockdown of the John, but he has 3 more members still to contest with. Holds onto the tree for as long as possible. Half health. Molotov could be handy. Goes for the smoke instead. And as soon as he tried to step away, well, he met his doom very, very quickly. 11th place for DIC Gaming. Gearbox are going to pick up an extra point. The last place team on the leaderboard still remaining. That'll be able to at least help advance them potentially up this leaderboard. Of course, they've still got a bit more work to do. Still 10 teams remaining, 31 alive at the 20-minute mark. It just has that feeling, though, that there's been maybe more slaughter than there actually has been. There's Flash finding the elimination, and that will send Eagle Sentinel Shooter out in 10th position. One more spot, and then, of course, the placement points to distribute after that. Divine at the south point of this circle. You can actually see on the minimap, you've got Golden Cat and Day Trade just outside of this circle. They can feed on those two teams, potentially find a few extra points.
I dare say they can. Venotica right now from Day Trade trying to cause some problems, but Divine will knock him back on down. And Golden Cat are taking that opportunity to rotate in. They've heard the shots. God. They don't have a particularly solid-looking vehicle. I think that was 2 tires. In fact, no, just the one that's broken. And, well, they're actually done pretty okay. All 4 players in 1 car. You won't be too happy to see that, but they managed to make it work for now. And if they can get these smokes up, if they can play the defilade, there is a little bit of a defilade to play with. They might be okay. Svit is waiting to pull that trigger, though, and he won't hit anyone, at least to start off with. Sixax was the man in his sightline. Divine continue to gatekeep Day Trade Gaming. It's Flash that's been knocked down this time. So we'll take a look at the circle and see where this one shifts. Another hard shift, Xenox?
Probably. North, is it maybe? No, central. That's not too bad.
That's probably the first time.
Yeah, and for the first time, though, this game, we are going to have to see Q Confirm move away from what was the final bit of compound. Now there's nothing literally left. Gearbox center of this zone. MSC in a good position, but they don't have the MVP star player. Melgi Esports eliminated in 8th position as Max Honest going to be finished off with an A. Divine did end up cleaning up pretty nicely here down to the south, like I potentially predicted. Although the fact that Golden Cat was able to get over the road and over to the side now gives them an opportunity to fight back. 6 sacks with a knockdown onto NAMC, trying to just finish him off through the grass. Every point so vital, especially when you look at a team like Q Confirm already potentially after just match 2 pulling away from everyone. 22 points. Every point is super important. Everything you can get from game 1 to game 20. You don't want to go to game 20 and you're 1 or 2 points away from first.
No, definitely not. These nades just going a little bit too deep. Turtle is able to pick Nicky back on up. Ronan somehow has headshot Jukesy and knocked him down, but the smoke will start to fade. Tonke around the side of his is able to deal with Turtle. We're back down to 1 for Divine. It's Nicky trying to salvage the situation. Good spray with that barrel, but not enough to get the kill, not enough to get the knock. Tonke does just get knocked down by Insight, but it's not enough to save Nicky. It's not enough to save Divine. Astra was out in 7th. Divine are out in 6th. And things start to slow down for a moment. These will be more long-range engagements for the next couple of rotations, I guess.
Only 1 kill for Fury Australia, but not a bad position really inside of the zone. Waiki Kamukau, though, extremely separated from the rest of his team. It's vital that he stays alive to give them a chance down at this portion of the zone. The rest of his team closer towards the road at that shack. Golden Cat, 5 kills, 2 players still up. You can see, so 3 members here at the shack, and then Waikiki, you can see in the minimaps down south. He gets knocked down, though.
It's a cast of curses.
2 off MSC, yeah, cast the curse indeed. They needed his position, though, because that's where potentially they might have to rotate to for phase 7. If it goes south, that's the position you would have wanted to take. Take that position around Waikiki Kamukau, and then from there you can rotate clear at the south side, rather than just sending it straight towards the middle of the map. Golden Cat still 2 up. Gearbox center of the map, and we'll see how this plays out. Insight trying to do something here to get over to Waikiki Kamukau.
Yeah, they've recognized the importance of Waikika position as well, Xenox, and they're going to send Insight right in that direction. MSC copying the hail of bullets from Jayers and Jiaoman, two super solid players from the Thai region, and that is going to be that. MSC get absolutely deleted, and Q Confirm continue their reign of terror here in PCS APAC.
Q Confirm 9 kills now into the top 4. Really good position as well with the zone. They just wiped out the team in front of them. There's not too much of an immediate threat now. Gearbox is there. They're a nice team, but they've only got 3 players alive as well. Not sure how much they're going to be able to do. The fact is they're also in a position where they might get pinched by Fury Australia as well, depending on what happens here against Golden Cat. Tanoi, Six-Sacks down the bottom, very, very south, not inside of this next circle. Time is of the essence. Fury Australia, though, they know that this is a very big opportunity for them, considering everything that happened in Charity Showdown for the Oceanic teams. There weren't too many games where the Oceanic teams were in these sort of positions. There's a 1-for-1 trade in the kill feed. Insight gets Chin, who got the knockdown of the Waikika Mukau. But any knockdowns onto Fury are going to be far worse than knockdowns onto Gearbox, considering Gearbox don't have to worry about the blue.
Yeah, Gearbox are quite happy to just sit in this position and try and deal with anyone that rotates in their direction, confirming that kill onto Waikika Mukau. Speaking of confirming, Q Confirm will have to start moving their way into the circle as well, as they are, by and large, out of position. Jayers is the one that's locking down that circle spot. Here goes Ronan and Jukesy, though, and they're going to have to make their move. They're going to just absolutely send it right at Gearbox, and they've gotten to the Darcia that we saw in play earlier on in the piece. Insight knocked immediately, but Ronan at least is able to trade one back on in. A second, though, goes the way of Gearbox, and you're starting to see it fall apart for Fury as they are going to be eliminated. I think they're all out of the picture. No, I lied. Jukesy's still slugging away. He's still okay. So it's Q Confirm, Gearbox, and Fury remaining in the top 3.
We did lose Golden Cat from that very much congested slaughterfest down south. You confirmed with 3. Gearbox have still got 3. That's probably the most surprising thing of that entire ordeal. Very hectic at this position. They're the center point. You would think that you would get pinched and take nades and take a lot of damage. I know they've got the shack and they're in the very, very little bowl. Nades over towards Jukesy's tree, and while he was not going to be able to survive 2 of them on either side of his body, Gearbox now with 4 kills, down to the final 2 at a 3 versus 3 against Q Confirm. You back Q Confirm in from this position for sure. Can't count out Gearbox just yet, but Jordan, if Q Confirm go on and win this game, they are so far in front already. It's insane. Jayers gets the initial knockdown onto Chin, and I think from here, you know what's about to happen.
Yeah, that's going to be Q Confirm looking for their back-to-back. They're already on 34 points, Xenox, and they can increase that lead even further. It's a 3-on-2. Y8 and Jend are trying to hold on, but Jayers, Jarman, and Svit are not going to make a mistake in a situation like this. They're just taking things slowly. They know that they're comfortable. They know that they have the advantage, waiting for that mistake from Gearbox. And there it might be. Jarman, a big spray. Doesn't actually end up finishing off Jend, but Gearbox certainly suffering for it. Svit will finish what Jarman started, and Y8, he'll sit himself inside of that bush and try and hold on for as long as he possibly can. Once this smoke fades, though, I dare say we'll be seeing the end of this favoring Q Confirm. Jayers taking the aim duel, charging on in is Svit. Same with Jayers and Jiaoman, who haven't gone down. It puts it into a 2-on-1, maybe a chance, but maybe not much of one. Wow. Q Confirm will go back-to-back, and 13 kills in that victory as well. Gives them even more points out of Game 2 than what they got in Game 1.
23 points, and as you said, it's like, I think 18 points in Game 1 as well, if I remember correctly, or something thereabouts, Jordan, as you said. Insane start from Q Confirm. We'll see if they're able to keep it up for the remainder, of course. Still 18 games to go. It's a long, long way. And all it takes, I would say, even to sort of close tonight off, would be like another... If Q Confirm have like a 0-point game, then that gap shrinks so quickly, right? So they're going to keep this up at least maybe to end off week 1. If they can stay at this sort of pace, I mean, I wouldn't crown them early by the end of the first week, but they would be in that pole position. Golden Cat, not too bad in second place. Gearbox, for all intents and purposes, they had really the best position inside of the zone for quite a while. You would have expected maybe a few more kills. In saying that, you could have also said maybe there was a chance they could have got pinched a bit more and taken out a bit earlier. I think really everyone inside of that top 5 played really well this game. Divine, more so their kills rather than placing. But Nice to see Fury as well doing well in that game, particularly to sort of give the Oceanic teams a bit of a start here. I know it's only game 2, but game 1 really wasn't that kind for them either.
Yeah, certainly. It's, again, just not a bad performance from Fury, but it seems like, to me, the same sort of a storyline that we were telling about the charity showdown, where they were getting themselves into good positions, getting themselves into winnable positions, but yet not being able to convert them to victories. And I think that's something that certainly needs to be shored up by Fury. If they want to be taking a deep run, if they want to be really sort of pushing the issue and maybe even winning this competition, they're going to need to be able to put some chicken dinners on the board from, you know, 3rd or 4th placement kind of situations, where we incidentally in charity showdown saw them slipping away from things. So look, it's going to be tough for anyone to really catch Q Confirm today, but obviously there's plenty of matches throughout the rest of the week and then heading into next week as well. So as you say, Q Confirm will want to keep up this pace that they're putting in for a little bit more consistency, a little bit more, a few more games to go today. Xenox, but I suppose being double the points of your next closest competitor is a nice place to be.
Well, you would take that. There's no other scenario that you would take, I guess, really. And one that you wouldn't expect. It's if you had said, oh, you'd be triple. I don't even know if that's feasible, right? So to be double 2nd place already after 2 games. We'll see if they can continue this trend, though. Q Confirm certainly shooting out of the starting blocks. We've got match 3 on the other side of the break.